Welcome to God's Way, YTVY. I'm Adolphina, Shephard, host. Here's my co-host, Thomas Knight, Templar.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Well, we have a couple of fabulous guests here tonight, as we usually do. And we have Steampunk Granny over here, a.k.a. Marie Gilbert. And we also have Karen Schlachter here, our wonderful psychic palmist. And we're going to be discussing some totally unique things tonight, so make sure you stay tuned. Marie is an author of the Rooftop Oasis series, right?
It's a series.
And I've read both the books, and they were fabulous. So we're going to be talking about where she gets some of these ideas from, I'll tell you that. And we also want to talk about something that's being called the Mandela effect. And it has nothing to do with a Mandela that you see being drawn or a picture, but it's big news. So stay tuned. And I guess we'll go to Karen first, our regular guest here, and let her tell her about anything about herself that you may not have heard before. So there you go.
Well, I am a Vedic Palmist, and I also teach Tai Chi and Qigong. And I do a lot of work with Reiki and healing, and love to teach that. And I also am a spiritualist minister.
Okay, so now we'll go to our Steampunk Granny over here.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. My name's Marie Gilbert, and I'm a grandmother of 9, and I retired from the Academy of Natural Sciences and decided to spend my free time writing science fiction books.
Okay. So
But now you worked at the National Museum
The-
of Science, was
the
it?
Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia.
So you would think that was the influence to write the books?
No, the influence I had to write the books came from dreams I've been having from when I was little.
So you're probably clairvoyant.
Yes.
Okay.
In a way, I guess. Well, psychic, I say psychic.
Yeah, clairvoyant, yeah.
Yeah, and it runs in our family. It runs in our family.
By the way, I want to tell you, that's my favorite museum.
The Academy of
Yeah.
Natural Sciences?
It stuck with me since I was a kid
Yeah.
when I went there in Philly. And I, not too long ago, last year, went back and saw it recently.
Yeah.
It really is the best museum.
I love that museum, and I probably would have still been working there, but my health issues, I had to leave. But I would have probably been there till the day I fell on my face dead, because that's how much I loved it.
Well,
Yeah.
the people don't really know what it is, so we'll tell them. Basically, they show the animal in their habitat, and I guess they're stuffed animals.
Well, it's not so much that they're stuffed. It's what they do is they take the inside out. So the bones are in our research center, and then using a clay mold,
They frame it.
they then put the skin that's been treated over on the top, and they'll use glass eyes. They
Glass
can't
eyes,
use
yeah.
the real eyes.
No.
But it's 20% museum. The other 80% is all research, and we have like close to 17 million specimens at that museum.
I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's basically research being done, and
It's
even
all animal or animal plant.
and also the
cellular-
environment. They study the environment, the water, what global warming is doing to everything. So they're right out there studying
So on the
species.
forefront of it.
And
They're on
it's
the
so
forefront,
lifelike.
yeah.
I mean, and you're close by. You ought to go if you haven't been, because it really is phenomenal. I mean, imagine. I remember that from when I was a kid. It was none of the other museums stuck
Yeah.
with me the way that one
Yeah.
did.
Is
Yeah.
that where they had the dinosaur?
Yes,
Yeah,
they
that
have the
was always a
dinosaur
thrill.
hole.
Yeah.
A huge
Dinosaur hole.
dinosaur.
Yeah.
Huge. How many stories? 2 stories?
Well, I'm not sure.
They dug it
It's
up in Haddonfield.
almost like
Really?
I would say like maybe almost 2 stories. It's not.
Is this a dinosaur skeleton or?
It's a cast of the bones.
oh, the bones,
It's
okay.
a T-Rex. But we do have, what people don't know is the very first dinosaur found in North America was Hadrosaurus folci. And we have the actual fossils there at the Academy.
No,
So everything
yeah.
that they have on display, you already have. It's physical.
Right. Like they have, because some of the dinosaurs in Dinosaur Hall do have the real fossil parts, but they're so heavy, it needs a lot of support. It's easier to have the cast of the dinosaur, so when the nobody knocks it down like us. You
Now,
know.
what did you say?
They
about the-
found that first set of dinosaur bones in Haddonfield.
In Haddonfield, New Jersey,
Yeah.
yes.
Imagine
yes, they
now,
did.
that's 10
Yeah.
minutes from me.
Right.
I
Right?
can imagine what's buried in your yard. Probably Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah.
Who knows? They've still been looking for his
Right,
body,
that's
haven't
true.
they?
Eureka, look what I found, his shoe.
You never know,
If
honestly.
you find his wallet, then you'll be all right.
Well, let me see the Roof Oasis book. Do you have your book?
I
there?
have both books.
Let's put them on the table. Do you
and-
mind if I read the back of what
Go
it
ahead,
says?
go ahead.
Okay. This is interesting because she just said that it's based on dreams she's been having
Yeah.
since she was a child.
Yeah.
So I've read both of them, and they're so interesting that there's so many subplots, but there were fascinating points in there that we'll cover as we go. But this is what it says. How do you survive in a world controlled by a madman? What if this dictator controlled the very food and water
Yeah.
you needed to survive? And that's where I think it's ultimately going with the GMOs, so that the food can't repropagate, and that is not good news.
No, it's not good news.
When the use of biowarfare inadvertently brings about the end of civilization, well, you know, they use
Yeah.
that too. Biowarfare, it's very common. It wasn't Agent Orange a
I think so.
biowarfare
Yeah.
weapon,
Yep.
and look at all the vets that came back
Back.
sick with that,
So
right?
many of them came back. They didn't even, we lost so many. We lost 58,000 and change over there. And you got to figure one thing. That was over the course of like 15 years.
Yeah.
In Korea, they lost 56,000 in 2 years. All right, so when you think about the scale, a lot of our guys, they died, and they didn't necessarily die in Vietnam, but they died there because they were killed there by our own people.
Right, by the bio.
And they came home here to
bioweapons.
rot to pieces, like my brother.
Oh, that's so terrible.
Yeah, well,
And you don't know if it was passed down in the genes.
well,
Because if
I hope
it
not.
Oh my
affected
God,
the
never even
genetic.
thought of
Never thought
that.
about
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
all in all, that was, well, that's the same people that poison our food with GMOs.
Right,
DuPont.
right. So now, to continue, the couple of the stars, twins, Michael and Lucy, try to escape from the zombie horde.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the horde of people walking down the street, looking at their cell phones? Right there,
Yeah.
they're zombies sitting
That's
around
right.
the dinner table, texting.
Right.
Anyway, I think you were talking about real zombies,
Yes.
right? To kind of tear you apart and eat you.
The kind you've been seeing on TV. What is with TV today? What is this? Zombies. What the hell were they?
Well, they put it on
They're
TV.
us.
Yeah.
They're us.
We're just zombies because we're created to do
Yeah.
stupid things like play with a cell phone, like she was saying. You boy, you really encourage my wife with this one.
Well, I'm telling you, when we go to dinner now, we came up with a good idea. Actually, my husband's nephew came up with it. When they go out to dinner as a gang, everybody puts their cell phone in the
Yes.
center, and whoever lifts up their cell phone pays for dinner.
That's perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so here we go. They're escaping the zombie horde, but they won't be able to do it alone. And their only salvation may lie with an old Victorian mirror hidden in the attic of their family home.
Right.
Now, this is fascinating. And so what year, I don't remember, does this start in?
It starts around 2051 because I put it in the future, not the far future, but far enough where it wouldn't be political. But I was looking at what was happening in our world with the food, with the water, and not only that, but with foreign corporations coming into our country and buying our water rights.
Yes.
All right, and this really bothers me. That
Oh, me too.
Nestles can come in and want to use our water when there's a drought, and I'm like,
I had heard something like this
Yeah.
on one of the shows on the History Channel was saying
Yeah.
that some company bought the land outside of Houston, okay, and on their land is the water that comes
Right.
that feeds Houston, and that they could cut that off at any time.
That's
And they
right.
dry out Houston, and I think that if there's ever going to be a time for eminent domain, all right, they got to stop that. You cannot do that.
but we've already been sold.
Down
A stock, lock, and barrel. And so knowing what's going on today, and then with the dreams I've had, and then things my dad told me before he died, and what he comes back at night when I'm trying to sleep and tells me, and I'm
It
like,
comes in
"Dad!"
spirit, right?
I feel like I'm but I don't want it to be scary. I don't want
Right.
to frighten people, so I make it. It's like a love story. It's adventure.
Right.
It's action.
The mirror depicted here, is that a porthole?
That's like a Stargate.
That's
Like
a
in
Stargate,
other
okay.
words, like a way to travel between worlds. So on each book, there's a mirror. That's the focal point.
That's the focal point of the
Yeah.
book, okay.
Now, I got to tell you the story that I know this is true. Because we have, and my husband's 3 aunts, they were like the Golden Girls, okay? They all lived together, they never got married, you know, and they had this huge antique mirror that we kept. It's huge, and it's like an odd shape. And so when we moved, we had to put it in the back of my Jeep so it didn't get damaged by the movers. And as we were loading it, I could see the 3 aunts, and they were waving to me. They had these big smiles, and I was freaked, you know. And then, and now we have that big in our living room above our mantle, and I swear I know that the people were watching us through that mirror. Is that not bizarre?
I really believe that it can be used as a gateway. I really do think so. Mirrors.
Now, if you've seen the movie Jupiter Ascending,
Oh, don't talk to me about this movie.
I haven't seen it. I
you
do
have
want
to
see
watch it. But
Yeah.
one of the things that really got to me was they were showing the chromometers, which are chromometers are something that they're supposed to be able to look in and see the future, or see in the past, or see what's happening in another galaxy or whatever. So in this one scene, you can see the Galactus have this technology, and they're seeing what's happening as on a TV screen as big as the whole wall there.
Right.
And it really kind of freaked me out, but I understand that we have one and Russia has one, maybe even China.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, she called me and told me to watch this movie, and I watched this movie, and I tell you, I found it very difficult to watch this movie. The only reason why I watched it is because I happen to like Mila Kunis, whatever that name is.
Right.
And the dialogue was the stupidest dialogue I ever heard, but I understand the story.
Right.
But it was just, I was watching it, I couldn't. Well, cojones, whatever the whole name is, Kunis, right? But I was watching this show, and it was just getting bizarre. But see, then when you look at the premise, that they were inhabiting planets and then using us as their life force to train us
their
as fuel.
cattle.
For
As their
energy.
cattle.
We were like
Yeah.
a farm.
Once
as
you reach a
cattle.
certain
Yeah.
population, then they start. And when you see the people dying off like crazy all over the world here, you have to wonder off if there's something to it.
You know, I mean, there were a lot of points that my angels were tagging me to let me know that this was true. Pay attention here. You know, this and that. And they do that a lot in movies and in books and so forth. They'll say, pay attention, you know. So anyway, so I knew that that was true. And in my mind and heart, I know, sometimes you just know. You know, there's clairsentient, I believe, is when you just know.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's actually a gift, and I've always had that gift of just known, you know. And I just know that's true, that part, you know. And so, and then when I saw in the mirror, I was like, oh my God. Now the story, what's the alien's name?
Razap.
Razap.
Lucy's.
Yeah, it
Lucy's
doesn't
name.
roll off my
No,
tongue.
it doesn't roll off my
what's her
tongue.
name?
Razap is.
Razap?
Yeah.
And he's a reptilian, right?
Yes.
But he's a good reptilian,
Yes.
this guy. He's
Yes.
a good reptilian. Well, they meet when they're children, and he comes through
Yes.
that portal, right?
He comes through the portal because they were using that to spy on different worlds,
Yeah.
just to to see what they were doing. And then once they were able to travel with spaceships, then they didn't use the mirror that often.
Yeah. Yeah, they had.
It's interesting. You know why? It's interesting because you're on as an author, but your books are based on your own intuition.
And dreams.
And dreams, and that's very interesting. 'Cause,
Yeah.
a lot of times I dream here and there and stuff like that, and I only remember certain aspects of it, but you seem to have more vivid dreams that you can recall.
Yeah.
I mean, you got that, Karen?
Sometimes, but she actually has a muse. Sounds to me like you can take what you're hearing and
And be able to
be
translate
able
it.
to
Yeah.
write it down.
What
Tell the
I've
story.
seen as a child, I
Yeah.
couldn't understand it, and as I got older, I understood what it was that was shown to me.
You
But
know,
you-
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you're
Go ahead,
right.
Tom.
You're right.
When, like, say, your father or your mother or somebody comes to you, you recognize their energy, or you see
Oh,
them?
yeah. Well, they normally come to me when I'm sleeping, and I do recognize them.
Okay.
But they bring other people with
love
them,
that
and they
Yeah,
want me to
that's a
know
cool
their
picture.
story. And a lot of times I don't understand what these people are saying because they're just dragging them from all over the world. And I'm like, Dad, I don't know what the man's saying.
But he's in my bridge club. We play bridge over there in Canasta.
But the thing is, like,
Pinnacle.
they want me to know their story.
Yeah. Well, they want you to know your story and transport it to a
Yeah. Through writing.
what's that word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Transcribe it.
Transcribe it, yes.
Yeah, my brain's not 100% today.
I can
It's
tell you
like-
couldn't get through the promo.
I know. I'm like, these shifts are knocking me out. I'm telling you. But anyway, the story has so many different interesting things, and but this one was a good one. And there's just so many different points. I just love that book.
Are these the first two in the series?
Yes, and the third one comes out before August. It'll probably be out by the end of July, beginning
What's the
of
name
You know
of
what I
it?
like about these? If you look
Yeah.
at the size of the book, these are easy readers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a good
Yeah.
story. So, I hate when somebody says, "Oh, here's a book I'd like you to read." It's got 4,000 pages. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, all right. I'll
the
read
name
that
of the
tomorrow.
next
I will.
So what's the name of your third book?
The third book is Beware the Harvesters.
And how would we get it?
It'll be out like these two on Amazon and Kindle.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Now, that's interesting about
really?
that
That was a
word.
nice plug.
Harvesters, harvesters.
I already,
Yes.
I already know where
Because
this is going.
Yeah, because Jupiter Ascendant is all about harvesting the planet of Earth if it becomes overpopulated.
They wanted our corn.
Yeah, they wanted our corn.
Oh, no,
Anyway, yeah, that movie has a lot of credence. But anyway, that word, does it have anything to do with that?
Direct all
doesn't
the
have to
letters that
do
come
with-
about this movie to her. Okay? I warned you. Okay.
It doesn't have to do with the movie you were talking about, but there was one of the parables that Jesus was talking about, the harvesters, and he was saying how the king planted the seeds, and then during the night, people came and planted the weeds, and Jesus was telling his apostles, the harvesters are the angels, and when they come down, they're going to wait till the bad and the evil will grow together, and then they're going to take the bad stuff and
chaff.
burn it and let the wheat continue growing. And that's where the name harvester came from,
Okay.
because I feel that every once in a while he puts these harvesters here, and you'll see this mass death. It could be a plague or whatever, but they're wiping. They won't destroy completely, but they kind of like sweep house. In
Yeah.
other words.
I remember that parable.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. Yeah. And it's funny, a lot of this, now we're talking about the Bible now with that psalm and that parable. And we're going to be talking about that too with the Mandela effect,
Yes.
which is fascinating to
Why
me.
don't we get into that? Because I'd like to know a little bit
Okay,
more about this.
you want to know a little bit more? Now, we've been talking about it on Facebook. So,
Yeah.
And you used to teach Sunday school, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I found out about something that's being called the Mandela effect. And as I'm reading it, I started to freak out a little bit because it talks about how the Bibles have automatically changed.
Yep.
And as I'm going through, so now I have to dig at my Bible and I'm checking the Psalms and everything else they're listing that has changed. You were checking. She checked with some of her Bible group, I guess,
Yep.
or the church. You looked into it too, didn't
Right?
you?
Yes, I did. Yes.
So the main thing that freaked
They're
me
saying,
out.
they're saying right now, they said that the interpretation of what's there, the print is the same. It's the interpretation now that is different. That's what they're saying. It says,
Okay.
because we have been ascended to a point where we see it in a different interpretation.
Well, and that's could be because that's exactly what I had analyzed it to be. That I had said, we are not in Kansas anymore.
No.
3D and 4D are gone. We are in 5D, and because our consciousness has changed and we're in a different space, different timeline. Everything in the Bible has changed. Now, some of it is so subtle you don't even notice it.
Right.
But the ones that really caught my attention is this. how many of you remember the lion lays down with the lamb?
Right.
Right? How about this saying, March blows in like a lion and goes out like a lamb?
Right.
And didn't you say you had Christmas cards with that song?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had Christmas cards with a lion and a little lamb laying right next to it, sitting side by side.
Right.
Yeah.
Dig out your what it reads
Yeah, well,
like
we
now.
look, this Bible was given to my mother in 1940. Okay, so it's seen its day, but it's got all the family the family dates of the births and deaths and things like that are recorded in here. And here it says, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. And I know that that's different because I had never in my life heard the wolf will lay down with the
Right.
lamb.
It's always been the lion.
But that's what we're saying is that the dialogue has changed, and you go back to these old books, and it's also changed in a 1940 Bible.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, because I've always, even in my Bibles, it always says the lion shall lay down.
You
with the
should
lamb.
check it now, and also-
And the reason why they say that is because they're going by the fearless, fearless lion, you know, who was like back in the days of the Bible was so feared. They fed the Christians to him in Rome and all of
Sure.
that stuff, right? And now it's saying wolves. Wolves a lot of times depict deceivers.
Right.
All right, wolves are deceivers. You know, they say sly as a fox is a deceiver.
Right, the trickster, yeah.
Can you
The
read
trickster.
that whole thing when you're
So
not
wolves
just the
in
wolf lies
sheep's
down with the
clothing.
lamb
Yes,
when you're done?
yes.
Well, I was going to go to the trespasses.
Oh yeah, here's another one that's very interesting. And we were talking about this on one of the shows Karen was on, and I think it was the one with Mary Silvernail, where we were talking about the future going for 10 years. And we were talking about possible debt forgiveness around the world, from country to country, banks to people, credit cards to people, and so forth, that would be forgiven. And you piped up with what? It was the 50th Jubilee, I
Yeah,
think?
the Jubilee that the Jewish faith celebrates every 50 years. You forgive the debts, and you restore, you forgive old grievances and everyone's family again, no matter what.
After
So-
7 years, the slaves are freed. If you owe somebody a debt and you're not paid off by 7 years, it's forgiven. And this
Oh,
was
okay.
like, and I think, what is it, Rosh Hashanah or around Passover, that's done every year or so, every 7 years, I think. But this time was the
Yeah, the New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the 50th Jubilee, right?
Yeah.
So now, we're talking about this. Well, let her read this, what it says.
Well, this is the Lord's Prayer. Now, again, this is what we've all been taught over these years, and it says, Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. It was always trespasses.
Yes, but keep in mind that debts as debtors, I've heard that many times.
I have too. I was raised Presbyterian. We always said that. But in the
It's the
Bible, it always
interpretation.
was, but I even looked on several different,
If you go to an apostolic Bible, it's going to definitely say trespass.
it might, and it should say it in the Catholic Bible too, but a
That's
lot
it,
of people have
apostolic,
looked
that's-
and
that's
it's
the Catholic
changed.
Bible.
It's changed.
But
Tom.
it's
not.
It's good. It's good that you have it as figured out debtors, because if you figure that, you know, everybody in this world and in this country especially are so in debt. Look at
Oh,
our poor
absolutely.
kids that are going to college.
But that's not
they
the
don't
point.
have a prayer to pay back them loans.
The point is, people are going back and looking in their Bibles, and it no longer says that. It
Right.
says debts and debtors when they know that before it always
Well, we
said
said
trespasses.
Trespasses.
Well, how
Forgive us
would you
our
suppose
trespasses.
And that's how we
changing?
say it in church.
Why not? God,
No, I'm just saying,
it's a
God can
different
do anything.
dimension.
I'm just saying, that's right.
We're in a different dimension now.
It's
And that's
kinda
what it
like-
is.
That's right. And you know what? I think it is something that it's similar to, let's say, if you learned anything about time travel from TV shows or reading or whatever, which, by the way, I believe is very possible. I know they can do it. They just have to set the coordinates. One thing, you go in, they say never go again, see yourself.
Right.
Because when you see yourself, you'll change something in time. And if you take some type of action that changes the future or the past, everything else will change. So now it's similar to that. As soon as our consciousness changes, the Bible's changed. And I mean, I checked 2 Bibles myself. A girl in Australia who I was chatting with on Facebook, she checked 5
Right.
5 different Bibles that she had, and they were all changed.
Here's another thing. This Mr. Rogers, we all know he would sing "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood." If you look at the old videos now, he's saying "It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood." What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything really, except that it's not how we know it was. In the movie Star Wars, apparently Luke, "I am your father," is not there anymore. It's now, "I am your father, Luke," or something. It's just different. And that's what we're saying. What is going on? That little things like "It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood," we all go, no, that's not right.
that's not
But
how we
that's what it
Could it
says.
possibly be that we have switched dimension with our doppelgangers who possibly had it in their world
Exactly. Well, it's a
this
parallel
way.
universe.
And,
And
and that's what I'm saying. All life runs concurrent, past, present, future.
and that's how it is in their world. It's not good, it's not bad.
It just is.
It's just-
it's
but it- to
shocking.
us-
It's a couple
It's
it's
shocking.
shocking because the print was there and now it's not there. Now
Yeah.
you see it, now you don't.
Yeah.
And you know it in your consciousness how it was, and now it's not there. And there was another one that really caught my fancy. I was reading about where it talked about the wine in wineskins. I mean, I read the Bible front to back. I'm not a scholar in it that I remember every single psalm or whatever, but it talked about being in your wineskins. Now it says bottles.
But what they
Bottles.
used to say,
Recycle
you
it.
never put new wine in old wineskins. That's what it was. So now it's bottles.
That's
That's just
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I'd like to go see now? Why don't you get a copy of the Constitution?
oh yeah.
Because if they change the Bible, you know, sure as you know what, they had to change that.
Oh, you know what? What a great idea.
Go ahead,
I
Tommy.
have a copy at home somewhere, too. Now I just got to dig that
They
out.
say 4 and like 67 years ago, you know, instead of
Oh, my goodness, that's a great thought.
know.
Now, there was another psalm in there because people were pointing out psalms, and I was going to the Bible and looking them up. I don't remember which one it was, but it actually said, "and their stuff." Well, I don't think in the ancient world, when the Bible was there, that was slang where you would say stuff like
Well,
it
do
is
you
now.
think it could be possible
Yeah,
that
your stuff.
Yeah.
Your belongings, they would
Yeah.
have said.
our other antagonists may have the ability to be able to change this print?
I don't think they'd
But
have
for
any
what?
reason
It's
to.
harmless
Yeah,
changes.
it's harm-
You
But
think it's
they're-
harmless.
Yeah. What else has changed?
But you don't know what else they changed. They're going to change the
Exactly.
Constitution of this country.
Sure.
You
Well,
know,
they're
they've been trying to
already
do that
did.
anyway.
They already did
you know?
that. They
I mean,
did that from from the original one. They did
know?
change that.
But I'd love to see. What's the 10 Commandments now? Thou shalt not have Ovaltine?
Oh, we didn't. You know
you
what?
know-
We didn't look
We didn't
that
do the
up.
10
We didn't
Commandments.
look
We
up
should
the
have
10
checked it.
Commandments. How do we know that they're the same?
That's right.
We'll
We
have
gotta
to
look
check
I mean,
that
is
up.
everything
Is it-
being changed to
did
fit
they
this
have
world
the
as
10
it is now?
Commandments in
I
there?
don't know where they would be. I
Okay.
know they're in numbers,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure where.
You got to go into the part about Moses.
Yeah,
But
numbers.
they call him Clyde now in the book. They changed his name.
Well, you know, it could be dangerous.
I have the staff, you know. I was given that.
You-
I really do. I
Oh,
was-
that's
that was
cool.
one of my gifts. It was given the staff of Moses.
Oh, you know what? I've gotten etheric things like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the hands of Thomas Aquinas.
Cool.
I got the feet of Bigfoot. No, I only made that part up.
I was given the sword of Michael at one point, Archangel Michael, and a bunch of other stuff too. But anyway. So but this is fascinating.
Well, it's curious because just changing the words a little. So when I say trespassers, forgive your trespassers, I would think someone who hurt you or did
Sure.
something aggressive
Somebody
towards you.
transgressed against you.
Yeah, so you're forgiving them, almost like turning the other cheek. When you're saying debtors, now it's going into money.
Right.
And now that
Or favors,
changes.
That
obligations.
All of a
changes, that changes
sudden-
the dynamic of the whole
Yeah.
thing.
It does. It
Right.
does.
Because
So-
we're saying, forget as our debtors. A person who is indebted to you,
Right,
all right, in the old days were indentured slaves.
that's right.
You know, and after a certain amount of time, they were released. But what does that have to do now in our present time.
Okay, you want me to answer that?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so here, when we were talking about that show, where they've been talking about worldwide debt forgiveness, like, China holds most of the U.S.'s money. I mean, their debt and so forth. So if if China would forgive, they say we're trillions of dollars in debt, right? If China would forgive the U.S. and the U.S. would forgive this country, and this country would, well, nobody would be in debt anymore. And everybody has mortgages. Imagine how it would be if, because of perhaps crimes against humanity, the banks forgave all the mortgages and no more mortgages. How wonderful that would be for everybody, right?
And they still make money.
So, but I mean, you see, it's like, okay, money has been compiled into a vast sum, and if everybody's forgiven, then it's going to be spread. There's supposed to be a
Sounds like a
agency to spread the money. So now, if enough people come on board and read that, right, and they read, forgive us our debts, and as we forgive our debtors, doesn't that sound an awful lot like that the wolves lie down with the lambs?
Well, it does, but you know what I'm saying? You said, forgive us our debts. The person who holds the debt that you owe, okay, all right, it's not about to forgive your debt.
Hey, I'd like to have my mortgage
I would like
wiped
to have
out.
my mortgage wiped out too. But I know when they do that, you get nothing. You get something. You get nothing for, what is that? Nothing for something. Something for nothing. Or whatever it is. Nobody's going to forgive like $400,000, $500,000 mortgage.
Hey, think about this.
But if they did,
Hey.
that'd be cool.
The people, if the people we're talking about and so forth have accumulated trillions from making money and interest out of thin air, printing dollar bills that have no value, and what does one sheet of paper cost to print that you then cut, 10 times, which cost you 3 cents to manufacture per bill, and then over the centuries made trillions of dollars off of it. Hey,
Leave it to China. They make better bills than we do, and they're our money.
well, you got
know?
my point. So anyway, they've been talking about doing this, is my understanding. So I believe that it's changed because that's the time frame we're in now.
This sounds like a conversation of one world order. Okay, and that's not supposed to be good.
Well, wait a minute, though. We're all one, right? I mean, we're all a part
We are
of all
one
God.
person, one mind, one God.
But
We're all part of that.
Right, but
It's
the
the
thing is,
interpretation
well,
that you have in your mind of what you are and your stature, which changes everything. That's your free will.
it's your intent. Is your intent to have power over everybody and control everybody and everybody's your slave? Or is it the intent that, hey, you're my brother, you're my
over here, a little
sister,
itchy
you
over
know
here,
what
a
I
little
mean?
over here.
That's different.
Right.
That's completely different than we're all one, we're all children of God. You know what I mean? It's the intent behind.
Is this coming to you through the mirror? All of this? Or is this something you haven't heard before?
No, I've heard of this, but it's not there. Where I'm at is where the man, the leader, as he's known in the first 2 books, is using the greed of powerful people to destroy mankind. So that's where I'm coming from,
That
because
seems
I
to sound like
can't,
right now.
Right.
I don't see the rich ever forgiving anybody's debt.
I don't either.
I don't see that coming because it's power. Money is power. And I don't see that happening. I see us begging for forgiveness of debt, but I don't
just
see
think
it
the best way to
coming.
make rich people, really filthy rich people, right, come to their senses, is just to make them really poor. When you take away what they've been thriving on and screwing everybody in this world, and you take it away from them, they don't like it very much.
Well, nobody likes it very much.
Oh, no,
really,
wait,
That's the truth.
wait. When a person, old money they call it, okay, and they don't use that money as they're supposed to use, by the way that book says, to help mankind and to benefit them and not to benefit your pocket. It always says if you share what you have, you get back threefold.
Right.
They're not doing that.
No.
Okay, they need to be.
Well, anyway, I do believe, first of all, it's the phenomenon itself of the Mandela effect, that all the Bibles in the world have changed.
Why did they use that word? I'm just curious.
I don't know why they use
Yeah, I
it.
don't know.
It's just
Yeah.
being called that for some reason. I don't know why.
Because
They didn't
every time I hear
mention
Mandela,
that.
I think of a few things. I think of the Mandelas that people make, and,
Yeah.
and I think of Nelson Mandela.
Right,
You know,
right.
I don't see the correlation as what that means.
Well, you know what? I would love to, I didn't think to look that up. I would love to see in the dictionary what the definitions of, because sometimes a word has more than one meaning,
Right,
you know.
right.
Sometimes you have a primary and then a secondary and a third definition that you can assume. I don't know why they named it that when I picked up on that, the title, and it just intrigued me, you know, just like when I saw you at that expo, I was
Yeah.
drawn to you, and I was drawn to you, and so that's how we all met, you know, you're just drawn to certain things, certain people, and it's meant to be, and I was drawn to that article, so I knew I had to look at
Right.
it and check it out, you know, and sure enough, it was fascinating.
I thought it was.
Karen, when you're doing, say, a palm reading clairvoyant session, and you've probably seen people multiple times that come to shows.
Oh, yeah.
Does anything ever change in the hand?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It
there's-
takes about 6 months for the lines to change.
Okay.
So if they make the changes, if we talk about, if I see something that's coming up, or if I see they're going to have a good shift in a year, if I see them the next year, I can see where the lines have changed or have
Like
filled
you were
in.
telling
Or
me before, yeah.
yeah, I can see that. I don't remember very many until I start to read them, and then things
It
do
comes
come
back,
back.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's like
So-
you're pulling up those old files,
Yeah.
But it's,
right?
you know what it is? I'm just like asking, for instance, like you're looking at a palm and you've done this person like 5 times over the years, and it comes back to you, and also you look at it, it's like a completely blank canvas, and how do you explain how that happens, if it does happen?
It does happen, and they're usually dying.
Oh, okay.
Oh, boy.
I've seen that
Blank
several
canvas,
times.
goodbye.
No, I have seen that in
Yeah.
the past. Like their hands are
Okay.
totally smooth, except for the 3 main lines in the hand, and I'm like,
So
whoa.
everything's erased.
Yeah, it's gone. It's over.
Wow.
And
Steak.
so, what do you say? You know, say, oh, okay. Don't buy green bananas or something. You know what I mean?
Don't buy any stocks.
No, you know, I've said, how you feeling? Well, you
Give me
know,
your money.
yeah.
You're gonna take it from me anyway.
Yeah, I've had people ask me how much.
Yeah.
I had one woman one time ask me, she said, I want to know whether I should go into assisted living or should I move in with my daughter. I don't want to leave my daughter with a burden of me, but I would like to leave her my house. But if you go into assisted living, the state gets
They
the
take
house.
it,
Yeah,
yes.
So
yeah.
she said, what do I do? And I'm looking at her like, wow. I said, you can move in with your daughter. She said,
Yeah.
thank you. And a year later, her daughter said, thank you for that, because she lived about 6 months. And they were able to clean her house out, and they had it. And really, the state would have taken it for what,
Right.
4 or
Right.
5 months
Yeah.
of life, you know? So yeah, I can see that. And normally I don't go there, but if you
Right.
if you sit down and you really from your heart want to know,
Right.
I will tell you what I see. But I try to stay very positive.
Right.
Well, you know, Tommy, it's funny because on the way up here, I said to her, oh, you got to look at my hand. You got to look at my hand, because I had a couple of my friends over recently, and because they had seen the show, and they said, oh, my God, I got to sit with her. So because they came from far-flung areas and there was nothing that was common ground, they figured we'd meet there. And so before she left, I said, oh, you got to check my hand, because a few things have been going on. She says, oh, my God, you got windows. Your heart line over here is low. So I said, and she told me what to do. So it was very fascinating, because for about a week, it happened kind of quick. It started to
Well, yeah.
change for me, because I went right to God, of
Well,
course.
it's intention. If that's
Yeah.
your intention,
Yeah.
where your mind goes, it shows up in your hand.
That's right.
You know, where
Well, I had these windows open, 4 of them, and the energy was just going out. So I said, God, we got to shut those windows
Right.
and visualize them coming down, shutting them off.
and now.
And
Now the lines are a complete 4-pane window. No windows
Yeah.
are open.
yeah, and not only that, but my heart line was
What would
being
that look like?
drained
Like a
because
square with an
of
X
the
in it.
energy.
Window
Because
pane, like a regular
everything was
window
going
pane?
out.
Really?
So
I
anyway,
might have shutters here, I don't know.
well, you have to have a look at your hand afterwards.
She draws on my hand with a marker, I can't take it off. She's got a marker there.
She's good. She
I'm
does.
ready for you.
That's like she made me look like Zorro,
Permanent marker.
you know?
That's what she used with permanent marker.
That's all that was here.
I would have scrub it in the bathroom like this, you know? All those 3 layers of skin. I was skinnier on this side.
Well, the thing that concerned me was my heart line was
Right.
was getting light.
It was getting weak.
Where it was still big on this
Because
side.
everybody was sucking your energy
Yeah,
out, right?
and so now it's
Right.
growing again.
I say it's like
growing
the
again.
back door's wide open and the air conditioner is pumping
Pumping.
full blast
Right.
and it's 99 degrees and you're wondering why the house doesn't cool. It's because somebody left the back door open. Well,
Right.
she had 2 doors open.
Yeah.
So all the energy she would generate was right out.
And that
Right.
explains the recent power loss.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, Tom. I've been recharging like 100 times a day, and I'm not feeling it. They're stopping it. No, you had the doors open.
Go shut your windows.
Well, you know, I was just checking earlier in the green room because
I
all
saw
this.
that.
Well, what I was checking to see if the Earth has taken another hit in some manner, whether it's from the plasma that's been hitting the Earth or some type of an attack or whatever, because I was feeling like I was really getting too empty of energy,
Right.
and sure enough, the Earth grid system has taken a hit.
Sustained a lot of hits.
And no, this is since I checked this morning. I
Okay.
mean.
Another one.
So something has occurred. Anyway, we were working on that, and so the angels are working on it, you know, the elementals are working on it, and so hopefully that'll be fixed up real soon. But I mean, it's concerning when those windows are open.
Right.
And in this case, the Earth's energies, the windows
Were
were
open,
open,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, what they say in traditional palmistry is when those windows are open, your luck goes out.
Is that right?
And silly things happen. It's if someone left a shoe in the middle of the room and nobody could possibly pick that shoe up,
Right.
you fall over it and sprain your ankle.
Right.
That's bad luck because it's all about can you get up and go to work,
Right.
or you'd get a speeding ticket or something like that. And then your vitality, luck and vitality are the 2 things that show up in those windows.
Well, I'll give you, when I was coming back from, I was up in Riverdale in the Bronx. I'm coming back, and I'm very good with directions. Very good sense of direction. Christopher Columbus should have had me on that boat. He would have found New York, never mind Florida, all right? Or whatever he found over there, the West Indies. I'm coming home, and something distracted me for a minute, and I missed it off the BQE to go for the thing for Staten Island. And I wind up going on the Williamsburg Bridge. I was saying to myself on the way back, gee, I really hate that bridge. You know what I mean? I used to drive over that when I worked
Yeah,
in the city.
yeah.
And I hated that bridge. That bridge was like an erector set. It was like this, trying to get by. God forbid a car was next to you, you know?
Yeah.
Trucks go right in the middle, take 2 lanes. That's how bad it is. And I'm going over this erector set, going into Manhattan, saying to me, you are a real, you know? And I got in there, swung around Broadway, came around, went over the Manhattan Bridge. I went over 4 bridges that day, and one of them twice,
Wow.
you know? And this was just to get home. I was saying, it's like I
That's
couldn't
silly
get home.
things. That's
You know
like
when
the
things are
silly
keeping you
things that
from getting
happen.
home?
Yes, yes.
We're talking about silly.
I don't know.
But it is.
Have you noticed that people are really, it's dangerous to drive on the roads right now?
Mm-hmm.
It's been that way for, I don't know, a year or so, but I think it's because, like, we know how to repair, refix, take care of our
Right.
bodies, and the spiritual and the physical. But most people don't.
They don't,
So here they are. Imagine, you know, that you're empty, and you know you have all
They're
your
just-
windows are open, and
Sure, they're missing all of the prompts and they're
Right.
they're
They
not
just-
seeing it. They're in
Right.
la la land. They're tired.
They're
Yeah.
tired.
And when they're driving, they're not
Not
you know,
paying
not
attention at
alert.
all, no.
Tired isn't the word. Let's
see a- you
say
see a lot of people do that.
exhausted. Exhausted.
I would say yes. So many people are exhausted all the time.
They're draining themselves because they're being overstimulated from outside forces. And instead of blocking it by turning off the TV and the radio and just having quiet time with their family, they're not doing it. And then in work, they're not getting
Sleeping
that,
with their phone right by their
right.
ear.
And
Now,
you
wait a
know
minute.
that
I do
destroys
listen
you.
to meditations on my phone at nighttime. I have one particularly that is to put me to sleep, and it does. But of course, I get up 27 times a night, so it doesn't matter, you know. And I had, you know, and what it does is it goes from one meditation, and the next thing you know, about 3 hours later, I'm listening to Deepak.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I'm saying, well, all right, I'll listen to him. And I went back to sleep, and then I wake up again, and I'm listening to
So
some
what
lady.
you should do is put a speaker for your phone near you and keep your phone at least
Yeah.
5 or 6 feet away
Yes.
from your head.
I gotta keep the earbuds in there.
Because the electricity from that messes up the electricity on your mind.
And you know, one of the things people aren't doing now, especially the kids, they didn't grow up with this, is getting outside in nature. I mean,
That-
we used to play outside.
Hug a
Kids
tree.
don't do that. Yeah.
You think they said that for no reason?
That's what we're doing to ourselves. We are destroying the earth, and because we're not touching
We're not
earth.
playing with it. We're not
So we don't revere
enjoying
it because
our
we're not touching
natural
it. Yeah.
beauty
we're-
and our natural resources. They
Yeah.
tell you, don't go in the woods now because you got an overpopulation of deer, you're going to get ticks.
Yeah.
So nobody goes to the woods, nobody goes to the park. All right? Don't go to the beach, there's sharks out there. Well, there's always been sharks out there.
Right.
All right? Don't go here, there's that. You know, don't go
There's
there, there's
alligators
Zika.
in Florida.
Right.
Where the heck did this Zika thing come from? They've been living with this for hundreds of years, and now it's a problem?
Just
Global
look be around it.
Global
So,
warming does it.
where would you say that the zombies fit into this? I mean, zombies are a big part of your book, and I don't understand where are they?
We are they. We are the zombies because we blindly follow without thinking, without questioning, without educating ourselves. Someone will come on TV and say, this is the new rule. And we go, okay.
That's
and
the
we
indoctrination
follow.
we were going into
Right.
the last 8
Right.
years.
You know what
So
it's from?
we are the zombies.
Yeah, it's from the fluorination, which is rat poison, by the way, in case you don't know. The chemicals, the vaccines, the
GMOs.
Poisoning
the
of the minds in
GMOs.
college.
You know, people have forgotten how to think. Heck, I don't even use. Sometimes, if you ever go to an old-timey store where they have an old-timey cash register, and some people would not know how to give change
I
back.
grew
count
up on
back, huh?
that. I grew up on the old cash
Me
register,
too.
and
Yeah.
we used to add our customers up with a pencil on the paper bag. No adding machine. Kids can't do that
No,
today.
they cannot. You know, they don't know how to give change
You give them
back.
2001 for a 1001 bill, okay? And I had a girl, and I saved her job because I went back with the extra money. She gave me $95 change. Her manager was there. He's the one who handed it to me. I'm driving home. I'm eating my hamburger. I'm driving home like this. I got a handful of money. I go, 20s? I'm going like that. So I turned around and went back, and I went to the guy. I said,
Yeah.
I think you made a major mistake. You owe me $10.
Wow.
So they were so grateful that I went back and did that.
You know, and they're allowed to have their iPad or cell phone to do calculations
In
on
school.
where we used to be able to subtract, add, do the
write.
multiplications and cursive.
Yep.
You know, they're teaching the kids to rely on technology and not be able to think.
We got like 10
A friend of
minutes.
mine went into McDonald's and said, do you take Federal Reserve notes? And they said, oh, I don't know. And they got the manager, and he looked at it and he said, no, I don't think we take these.
We take Groupon. That's what we take. You dumb.
But, you know, they didn't even know that that's what $1 is. It's a Federal Reserve note. They
You know
had
what?
no
The
idea.
The problem in the way that we went wrong monetarily in this country is when we shifted from the gold standard
Oh, yeah.
to the treasury,
Yeah.
What president did that? I forget.
the dumbest one.
Nixon, I think.
Nixon, you think?
Nixon or Kennedy, I'm not sure.
It's one of them did it. You know,
Yeah.
let's put it this way: it doesn't matter Democrat or Republican. That was a stupid move, because our money had value. You used to get Federal Reserve notes, silver certificates. You remember that?
Yeah, well,
You remember
we
you
have
got you got
Federal
save these
Reserve
bonds.
notes
This
now.
bond is nothing but toilet paper today.
Right, right.
Because it's worthless.
There's no gold to back it.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Never
Besides,
China has it.
China has all our gold.
Yeah.
We only have
So we're the
2 minutes
zombies.
left.
So what's the answer?
So in my book, we're the zombies. We follow blindly. So whatever the leaders tell us to do, we do without questioning. But what the leader did in this book is that he added something to the food to actually make them become more obedient. And that accidentally triggered a full blast zombie apocalypse because something mutated in what he put in the food.
How do we know that's not what's going to happen with
Well,
the GMOs?
Well, you
I
don't
mean,
know.
we don't have any scientific background on what the GMOs will do long term.
Well, just
we
look just look what's happening to our water.
Right.
Just look what's
You know, and the
happening to our
water, I recently read somewhere, supplies the bulk of the oxygen for the planet. So screw with the oceans, screw with the air. The trees too are the lungs of the planet.
The trees
I
are the
mean,
lungs.
don't our scientists know this? Don't they have people
No
who
one's
speak to
listening
the
to them.
politicians about this?
No one's listening.
Because the
scientists have
corporations
money and
control
health.
this country.
Yeah.
The corporations tell the government and tell who's ever in charge at whatever particular time in history what to do.
Well, you
Okay,
know,
and how to do it.
we have to check our Constitution to see if it changed.
Yeah,
but
see if it changed.
made me just think about this because, you know, it's no longer, it's now the United States Corporation of D.C. It's not the United States Corporation of America anymore. They changed the Constitution to that.
Oh.
Just like the
What?
Vatican is its own city, the Royals have their own city, and now D.C. has
So
its own
DC is
city
its
within
own
a
So
city.
this is the world of Caesar. Caesar's in charge.
Yeah, Caesar's in charge.
Okay, this is the world of Caesar. Caesar's going to be dead soon.
Did any kind of tragedy occur on the, wait a minute, let me think for a minute. When was Caesar killed? The
Ides of March.
Ides of March.
15th.
You know, the symbolism is big, and both the dark and the light know this. I bet a tragedy occurred, a big one, on the Ides of March.
Could have.
It would have been planned for that date as a symbol, you know?
Well,
Yeah,
while
we'll
we
have to-
still have some time left, I would like to have a little visual moment of silence for those who perished in Orlando, for that little boy that died at Disney World, and for the young singer who was
Grammy
shot
girl,
down
yeah.
before she got a
I knew
chance to
her.
actually live a life. This is a sick world that we live in, and we propagate this enemy within us in our own borders. And unless we start to straighten up our minds and think about getting a little away from this political correctness, we are never going to be safe in our country. So let's have a moment of silence that ask God that this will change.
You know, maybe you can say a little prayer.
Me?
Yeah.
Heavenly Father, we ask you to guide us through the roughest times in the history of this country. We ask you to put leadership in our government and to put the proper direction for this country to prosper once again and to come out of the doldrums here, to take away the powers that corporations have over our government and the power that they hold, to bring back the jobs and the manufacturing that we used to be the apple of the eye of the world. If you got something that was made in America, you got the best. Let's be that best country once more. We ask you, Father, in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. That was really nice.
That
Molly.
was
Thank
nice.
you. See, I knew you'd be giving the words right to the heart of the thing. You know, right to the heart of the thing.
Yeah.
But you know, that little boy, imagine he was on a Disney property, snatched up by an alligator. The only good news about the whole thing was that they found his body. It wasn't chewed into
Thank
pieces.
God, you know, thank God for that.
his parents had that, you know,
know.
because that was really
It was awful.
shocking and surprising.
And you know what? And the thing that really bothers me a lot is that I saw something on Facebook that was despicable. If I had that human being in front of me, I would choke the life out of him for making a joke about that.
Yeah, that's, who
All
would
right?
even do that?
You know who would do that? A senseless boob.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I didn't see it.
Well, I tell you, I saw it and it
Someone always has to do that, too.
It was horrendous to say something like that.
They say
you
it
know,
all the time.
But there's
It
a
was-
lot of insane people out there. You know, there really are a lot of psychopaths, a lot of insanity, as well as good people. But there are a lot of psychopaths out there, you know, and sometimes they're charming, and that's the scary thing. You know, you're fooled because they're so charming. Like what was the guy who killed all the women? The
Bundy?
college
Yeah,
Ted
yeah,
Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
He was so
Yeah.
charming and college graduate and everything else, and
He was a
just
good-looking guy too.
yeah,
So that
he was
you
a
know.
psychopath.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, we're about time to close out pretty soon. So
Yes.
I want to say thank you for coming on.
Thank
it's been
you
a
for
delight.
having me.
And I'm looking forward to your third chapter there,
Yes,
or your
yes.
third book, because that was really fascinating.
I'm glad you
They
liked
were
it.
fascinating. And you too, Karen.
Thank you.
And Karen's going to be on more often as one of
Yes.
our regular
Yay,
guests, which we
yay.
just love. Yeah. And
See, my hand changed again.
yeah, her hand changed again just from that, right?
I'm telling you.
So we want to thank.
Our sponsors,
Go ahead.
Aardvark Pest Control in Great Kills, and Antonio's Pork Store down in Tottenville. He's a supplier of our food. for our cast and crew and our guest.
And the studio, too.
And the studio,
and the
CTV
studio.
Studios, Time Warner,
Yeah.
now known as Spectrum, I think. And
Oh, have they changed the
Yeah,
name?
they
I
changed the
wasn't
name,
aware
yeah.
of that. Yeah, I wasn't aware
Well, we
of
thank
that.
you for this venue. It's so nice to be able to come on here and talk about what we love
Yes.
and what we do and to find out about new books.
I know
Can't
exactly
wait.
what to get you for Christmas.
A new Sharpie?
A new Bible that doesn't have a tear in
Oh,
it,
this
and it has the real words in it.
You're
But
not going
look,
to find
this
the
has
word.
duct tape.
No,
Do you
I'm
love
gonna-
it? My
Yeah,
mother
yeah,
fixed it
yeah.
with duct tape.
You're
Do
gonna,
you love
see
this?
the one I gave you. It's gonna have those passages that change the wolves. It's
Oh.
gonna say lions again. I'm gonna scribble it in.
If you find it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's nice about a Bible that's old? You know it's authentic. And I checked a couple of different Bibles myself, you know.
I'm gonna do that when I get home.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about
You can't help yourself. What
this.
is
If you
it?
got the Constitution, go through it and see if anything's changed.
Oh yeah,
'Cause I'm sure
oh
it
my
has.
God, I'd love to. I'm gonna have to find that. I don't have any idea where that is, but I do want to see if automatically things didn't change. But we want to also thank you, our viewers, because you're the one that make this all possible.
That's right.
And
I thought it was. No, I'm gonna kidding.
and Tommy, of course, our producer here. But we just enjoy doing this show so much.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And when you deliver truth and you deliver it with a little bit of levity, it kind of makes the world be a little less dense. And
Yeah.
so, okay, she's giving us the rolling hands there.
Yeah, so I guess it's time to say goodnight. So good night, everybody.
Good
We'll
night.
see you next time.
Good night.
Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everybody wave.